My name is Gaurav Pathria. I'm originally from India. I was born and brought up in India. I lived in India for almost 23 years. I got my schooling and also my bachelor's and master's in India. I studied biochemistry. I will briefly talk about my education and my initial career or life journey, and then we will kind of transition to what I am doing and what I intend to achieve in this podcast. So, as I said, I was born in India. I studied biochemistry. I went to Punjab University, Chandigarh, for bachelor's, BSc honors in biochemistry, and then for my master's, I went to All India Institute of Medical Sciences, AIIMS, New Delhi. In 2006, I finished my master's, and I left India for the US to do PhD. I came to the Ohio State University in Columbus, Ohio, to join their Ohio State biochemistry program. I didn't stay there too long. I was there for like a couple of years, and at that time I decided to move to Austria. So, a country I had never heard of. Of course, I knew what Australia was, but didn't know what Austria is. Then this girl from Austria, who was an exchange student in the same building where I was doing my PhD, she was there for like a year, and I came to know her, and we started to like each other. Things got a little serious, and we wanted to be together. And then the question was, how's that going to be possible? So it was difficult for her to start her PhD there, because in the US we know that you have to go through their application, the whole application system. You have to write these exams, TOEFL, Test of English as Foreign Language, GRE. I don't think it is required anymore, but it used to be required back then. And yeah, so it was kind of complicated for her to start her PhD there. And she asked me, as she was coming back to Austria, if I would like to probably come for some time and see if I, one, like the place, and two, maybe find a PhD position that works well for me, and probably I would stay. So I spoke with my program manager, one of our professors. He was very kind. He told me to follow my heart, and in 2008 I arrived in Vienna, which is the capital city of Austria, and I looked for some PhD positions. There were some open positions. I applied to a couple. I got a couple of offers, and beginning of 2009 I started my PhD in Vienna, and I just sent an email to my program manager back in the US, and he congratulated me, and he said, yeah, great. So for that period, that was the end of my time in the US. Never thought I will be coming to a country I never heard of. But yeah, you never know what happens in life. So 2009, I started my PhD, and I will not go into details. What I studied was cancer biology. I finished my PhD in 2012, and my wife was also doing, at that time we were not married, so we were together, but we were not married at the time. And in 2012, I finished my PhD, and I wanted to do a postdoc. Actually, I wanted to find a job, something that is in Austria, or preferably in Vienna. And I thought it will not be super challenging to find one, because I felt that I had good training during my PhD, and I had a few first author papers, and I won some prestigious awards from Austrian Academy of Dermatology. But I woke up eventually to the reality of the job market. And then, anyways, I was also happy in the lab I was in, and my supervisor at the time said, okay, why don't you continue as a postdoc in the lab while your wife is finishing her PhD. That was a good offer. Certainly I got a higher salary as a postdoc, and also it was, I think, a good way to finish a few projects and get some authorships. So I stayed back, and 2014 I finished. 2015 my wife finished her PhD, and at that time we decided, okay, we should look for some opportunities, some more serious postdoctoral positions. And we applied. We should look for some more serious postdoctoral positions. At the time, we decided to apply in the US, and also around in Europe. Got a few offers. Eventually decided to go to Germany, to a city called Marburg, which is, by the way, a beautiful city. Rather small city, close to a big city probably you're aware of, the city of Marburg. Yeah, so 2015 we moved to Marburg, and soon into my postdoc I realized that this is something that is not going to help me in the long run. It was not fitting with my background, and it was not like it helped me kind of build on what I had done previously. So recognizing that, me and my wife, we decided, she was also not happy with her postdoc topic and the lab. So we decided to apply again for postdoc positions in the US. We flew to the US in 2016. Had several interviews and got a couple of offers, and I decided to join a lab I had always admired during my PhD and postdoc time. I had followed their work. I had always thought, okay, maybe one day I'll be able to work with this investigator, and yeah, luckily I got the opportunity to work with him, and in 2016, I joined his lab, and my wife joined another lab in the same town. So, did a postdoc, spent almost 3.5 years as a postdoc there, got a few papers, and at that time I was interested in starting my own lab, running my own lab in academia, like most people who are in science and enjoy science. So in 2019, as I was finishing, putting together, kind of submitting my big study in this lab, my supervisor told me that he feels that I'm ready to apply for independent PI positions. So I started making applications at the time. So this was in kind of late 2019. And my first interview was at Columbia University, Department of Dermatology. It was quite a fitting position because they were looking for somebody with melanoma background. So that was my background throughout my PhD and postdocs. So I went for the interview, everything worked out. They gave me an offer. It took some time. Things run a bit slow in most places. So I got an offer at the end of 2019. And at that time, I was also having my initial screening interviews at several other places. So once I got the offer, I got a written offer, and all I had to do there was basically put my signature there and accept the offer. I did not do that because I thought, and my PI thought at the time that, okay, this is just the beginning of my application process. This is the first offer. He felt, and I felt, okay, maybe I should counter the offer and try to negotiate a few things in the startup package, which is considered normal. So I responded, and that process kind of started. I was told that it is going to take some time. It's not going to be that like that we give you an answer tomorrow, okay, what we can do. So they said, yeah, be patient and we'll get back to you because we are also hiring 2 additional people. We need to see how we can allocate these funds to these 3 investigators we want to hire. And I was actually happy to hear that kind of answer because I wanted to also explore other opportunities in the meantime. And certainly I thought this could be backup if nothing else works. So at that time, it felt like a good decision to negotiate. But things changed quite fast. As you know, beginning of 2020, COVID arrived. And one of the first cities to be hit hard by COVID was New York City. And Columbia happens to be in New York City, and this department happened to be part of their hospital. So they had hiring freeze, to make the long story short. So they had a hiring freeze. What that meant was that people like myself who did not accept the offer in writing will not be, that offer will not be honored anymore because you didn't accept it, right? On the other hand, the ones who had accepted the offer in writing, those offers will still be honored. So this was devastating news for me because all other places where I was interviewing, they also had hiring freeze, and I was set to go to a couple of places for in-person interviews, but they were cancelled because everything was cancelled. The flights were cancelled and everything. So this was a blow, and I was told by Columbia that we can try to get an exception for you, but we cannot promise anything. It can take months. It can take up to until the end of the year. Yeah, and we are not sure. Your startup package may even decrease because our endowments are going to be affected because of the stock market crash that happened at the time in the beginning of the pandemic. And they said that, yeah, forget getting higher startup package, you may actually see a lowering of your startup package. So I was quite reactive to that. I said, no, that's not okay with me. And I said, okay, I'm not going to wait. I didn't think that much during that call I had with them. And of course, then when this sank in, it was devastating. It was quite devastating because I had left the lab and I didn't know what to do. Nevertheless, eventually your brain, your body, your everything adapts to situations. It just takes some time. So I discussed, of course, this with my PI at the time, right, where I had done my postdoc, and he told me, he was very generous. He told me that, yeah, you can, I can hire you back. You can keep doing your applications. You can finish a couple of manuscripts and whatever, one review, maybe you want to write, and I'll be able to pay you, which was very generous because, as you know, as postdocs, you don't earn much, and you are basically hand to mouth. And I would not know what else to do at the time, because I still wanted to keep applying now for other jobs in industry. So that was very generous of my supervisor, my postdoc supervisor, to offer that. So the next phase was then applying for industry jobs. I realized that because of this hiring freeze across the board in academia, probably I'm not going to find anything there. So it was some adapting to the idea that, okay, this academic dream of starting my own lab is over, and now I have to look elsewhere. Never thought while I was training at any point, to be honest with you, I will be going to industry. Now, some of you may wonder, why is it so bad to go to industry, right? And we will be, of course, discussing everything, in the coming episodes. What I think of industry after having worked in industry for several years, and what I think of academia, of having worked in academia for several years. But yeah, at that time, I was, you can say it this way, I was never provided that angle, of life in industry, or being a scientist in industry, and what kind of science I will be doing, what kind of work I will be doing. I think that's how most of us are trained, right? We are trained to basically run a lab in an academic setting and publish papers, get grants. We are never really trained to go to industry. And even industry is kind of, I would say, frowned upon. That is kind of portrayed as one of those things that most good scientists should never do. It's like you're betraying science if you go to industry. So, you know what I mean? Like you are fed that kind of information throughout your training in academia, whether it is your PhD or postdoc. I mean, exceptions may be there, and probably are there, but in most cases, that's how you are trained, that you are going to become a PI. In academia, you're going to have your own lab, and that is the only way, and that is the right way. So, nevertheless, once I realized, okay, now this academic dream is over, I started applying aggressively for industry positions. I think I must have applied for at least 100 jobs at the time. I had applied for small companies, I had applied for startups, I had applied for, you name it, every size company, big pharma. I flew out to a place which was quite far, and I never thought I will ever be considering, taking a job in that area, which was basically Minneapolis, state of Minnesota, city of Minneapolis. I flew out to Minneapolis one time to interview for this startup. I think they were doing very interesting work, but I kind of, I think they wanted to hire me, but during my conversations, follow-up conversations with them, I kind of conveyed to them that it's unlikely that I will come and work in Minnesota. I could not imagine living in that kind of weather. As you know, it gets extremely cold there, and it's a never-ending winter. And we were living in California, so we were spoiled, especially living in Southern California, in San Diego area. So the last thing you want to do or imagine to do is go and work in Minnesota. Nevertheless, so As I said, I applied for hundreds of jobs. Most of the places I got rejections. I had also interviews at a couple of places in San Diego, smaller companies. Did not get offers from them, although interview went pretty well, I felt. I cannot tell why it didn't work. I did not get feedback also, which could have helped me to understand, where I could improve, but nevertheless, my strategy at the time was just to apply, and then the rest will be figured out once I get an interview and maybe an offer, and then I can still decide whether I want to go or not. But my strategy was to apply, get as many applications out as possible. Yeah, so eventually things started to click. I got a few offers from some big companies, and the best offer I got was from Genentech to join them as principal scientist. This was just in terms of the time scale or timeline. This was in July of 2019. So after a few months of starting my application process for industry positions, I got this offer. I joined Genentech. I will not go into too much detail, what the offer was like and how much they paid me. We will be covering all those things, in the coming episodes. So, yeah, in August of 2020, I started then working for Genentech remotely because it was COVID. They asked me to start working remotely from San Diego, and then eventually in 2021, me and my wife, we moved to San Diego. Moved out of San Diego to San Francisco Bay Area. This was in May 2021. So I worked at Genentech for altogether almost 4 years. My wife was working for a startup, biotech startup again in San Francisco Bay Area. And in 2024, or before 2024, end of 2023, we just discussed among ourselves, me and my wife, that okay, maybe we should think of moving back to Europe. We did not like the lifestyle we had or the life we had overall in San Francisco. And since we did not have kids and do not have kids, I think the decision was easier for us. We were the sole kind of dictators of what we wanted to do. And then in beginning of 2024, I started applying for positions in Europe. I got a few offers. I accepted one from biotech startup or cancer biology or cancer therapeutic focused startup in Basel, in the city of Basel in Switzerland. This was head of translational medicine position. We moved to Basel. We moved in May, beginning of May, to Switzerland. We stayed in Switzerland and I worked there for a few months, and soon I realized that this is far from what I had envisioned for myself and at this stage of my career, especially with the background that I had come with working at Genentech. So I realized this is not going to work for me. Again, we'll get into details of everything, in the coming episodes, as we discuss different aspects of life as a scientist in academia and industry. But yeah, things didn't work out. I had different expectations from this place, and I just felt that this is not an environment where I can grow. It was too limited for me. So throughout my life, I have been quite spontaneous in decisions. I make decisions quite fast. Sometimes I think maybe I should be a little slower and think through some of the things, but sometimes I feel it's probably good that I don't sit on things pondering over them for months and years. Anyways, so we were in Switzerland for a few months, and then after I decided to leave this company, we decided actually to leave Switzerland. And now we decided to go to south of Italy. And the reason was that we just wanted to take a break. We thought that we were kind of burnt out and done with science, because I had never taken a break in my life since I started studying or working. 2006 I finished my master's, then immediately after I started, no break, I started my PhD, then no break, I started my postdocs. No break, well, a little break, but that was, what happened with the COVID and everything. That was a small break of a few months, but started working for Genentech, and then immediately after started working for this company, and just felt burnt out at that stage. And we both felt that we need to take a break and maybe step aside from science. We'll be discussing more how we came about, how we went about that decision to step away from science. But at the time, we felt that was the best decision for us. We felt that we were in a financial position where we could explore other avenues, maybe other interest and other vision that we have had, or I have had, because sometimes it's important to step away from things, to really appreciate and take some time to see what you see as the next chapter in your life. So moving to Italy for 6 months almost gave us that time and space that we needed. That was quite critical. And after that, we decided to come back to Austria, or move back to Austria. So as I had mentioned, my wife is Austrian. I became an American citizen a few years ago. So since she is Austrian/EU citizen, that makes it quite easy for us to move around within European Union. We can go and live where we want, as long as I am with my wife. So we'll talk about that also, in the coming episodes, the different limitations and restrictions with the different passports that we carry, and work permits and residence permits and whatnot, and how they can affect your life. But yeah, so in last year basically, so 2025, we came back to Austria, so full circle. And then after a few months, we decided to start our own venture. It's a consulting company which is just run by 2 people. It's me and my wife at this time. Hopefully, and maybe we will grow in the coming months and years. But right now it's just 2 of us. This consulting venture is focused, I'll put probably a link here. You can check it out if you like. So it's called Career Path. And the idea here is to help PhD students and postdocs and earlier career researchers in kind of designing or navigating through different aspects of their career journey. We felt that we have spent now many years in academia and many years in industry. We have lived, I of course come from India, so I understand Indian education system and some of the positives and the negatives, also how the job market is in India, the opportunities and what challenges are faced by students there. I of course then lived and worked studied in Europe for many years, in Austria and in Germany, and then we lived and worked in the US for almost 10 years. So we felt that at this stage we would love to share our experiences, our understanding, our learnings with fellow scientists, young scientists who are already on this track, are on this route, and they are facing different kind of challenges. They are having different kind of questions. They are often uncertain of what lies in the future. Sometimes decision making is not so easy. I've spoken to people in India often about their challenges, in the current times. Why they want to come abroad, why they want to pursue PhD, for example, in the West. What challenges are they facing in India? What are the things they should be aware of when they are thinking of moving abroad? Is not all rosy. There are a lot of challenges living in the West, be it personal challenges, be it professional challenges. And I think that there are a lot of learnings because we have gone through this journey ourselves. We have first-hand experience of working in multiple countries, some of which are sought after by a lot of folks back in India and other countries. So at the same time, people have questions, right? I have been often asked, should we directly go into industry jobs? Can we apply to industry jobs in the US, for example, after doing our PhD in India? People have asked me, how do I make money? More money? Do I go to academia? Do I go to industry? One person, so I was in India a few months ago. I had seminars at Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore, and also at National Center for Biological Sciences, NCBS, in Hyderabad. And I had very, very good conversation with students there. And I remember one student, one guy at Indian Institute of Science asked me, how do I become famous fast, in industry or in academia? So my answer was that if you want to really become famous, you have to be in academia. But yeah, we'll talk more about that. But yeah, I think there are a lot of questions, there are a lot of concerns, and there are a lot of things people are not aware of, right? People are not, when you are doing your master's or PhD, it was the same for me. When I was in India, I did not know what challenges lie, in the US, for example. When you finish your PhD, can you just access the job market? What kind of permits do you need? How long can it take to become a permanent resident, which is a green card holder? Which are very important questions, probably as important, if not more important, than just getting into a PhD program or getting a postdoc. Same is true for Europe. A lot of people want to come to Europe for doing a PhD, but they are not aware of what is there afterwards, what kind of opportunities are available to them after finishing their PhD. Because PhD is of course one thing, and I know it can be challenging to find PhD or postdoc these days. But I think as students think about their future and plan their future, I think it's important to also know some of the other aspects of life in Europe or European countries versus in the US. And then I think you can really make informed decision, especially if you have choice, right? If you have, let's say you get offers for PhD from the US as well as from Europe. How do you decide where you go? Same for postdoc. A lot of people do get offers for doing a postdoc in Europe as well as in the US. So yeah, there are a lot of aspects. For example, also language, right? English, of course, is the language in the US, no worries. If you go to UK, again, no worries. Go to Canada, Australia, no worries. But what happens if you come to the rest of Europe? For example, if you come to Germany and you want to work in academia and start your lab after finishing your postdoc, let's say, in Germany, what kind of language skills do you need? Would English be sufficient, or would you need German skills as well? And if you need German skills, what kind of German skills do you need? Do you need really high-level German skills? If you have to teach students, yes, probably you do. So also these things affect your assimilation in the society. I often say this, language is not just important for your job opportunities. It is also important for your assimilation in the society. You could lose years, if not decades, if you don't speak and understand the language of the country you are coming to. As most people outside your academic circle are not going to speak English. Some of them can, but some of them cannot, or most of them cannot, and some of them don't prefer. Their preference is to speak, for example, German. If you come to Austria, a lot of people may like to speak German and expect you to speak German with them. So these are very important aspects, and a lot of these things we don't think about, which is also understandable, because when you are finishing your master's, your sole focus is on finding a PhD position. And when you're finishing your PhD, your sole focus is to find a good postdoc position. So it's kind of understandable that that our focus is just at the very next step. We are not thinking like what happens 5 or 10 years in the future. So my hope is that with this channel, with this podcast, I will try to cover pretty much everything I can think of that I faced, I encountered, I learned during my journey over the years through India, through Europe, first to the US, then Europe, then back to the US, then Europe again. And also, as I said, this channel is not going to be just about telling you how to make a strong CV. I think a lot of people can use AI very well and make very strong CVs. They can make very strong statement of purpose. AI has really changed the way we apply for jobs and positions. The idea here is to really help you help you understand the different facets of life and challenges that you may have in the society, depending on the countries you go to, and also the job-related challenges. If you go to industry, what are the challenges there? What are the expectations there? And at the same time, we will also talk about how you can strengthen your profile for securing positions, be it PhD, be it postdocs, be it going to industry in the US. Most of it is in the US actually, so we'll talk about that as well. Where industry opportunities really lie. Is it in Europe or is it in the US? So yeah, at the same time, I would say that I want the viewers to engage as much as they can. And I think that is how this channel will be shaped, right? Because if we are getting feedback from the viewers and they tell us, okay, this is what we are thinking, this is the challenge we are facing, this is what we encountered, or this is the question I have. I don't like the US. A lot of people have told me that recently because of American politics, because of everything that is going around the world. People feel that it doesn't align with their values, So let's talk about it, Should we take an issue with that? Are some countries superior, morally superior to others, and how that should dictate your decision making, or if it should dictate your decision making. What about India itself, right? A lot of people have asked me that, and to be honest with you, I was very happy to see what kind of opportunities are in India as well. I know it's still limited, but things are changing. A lot of people told me they prefer to stay in India. They prefer to go to industry after finishing their PhD, and they don't intend to even come for a postdoc to the US or go to Europe, which is great. I think eventually that's what we need. We will talk about this more. I'll just say this: there is something so organic about being in your own country. You don't have to. You can be yourself, right? That's how I'll put it. You can really be yourself. You don't have to. You don't have to struggle. You don't have to think that, oh, is this an acceptable thing in this society? How people perceive this kind of way of talking, or doesn't matter what it is, right? It's just natural to be in your own country. We'll talk about that as well. What I think about. I have, to be honest with you, I have thought about going to India, back to India, and we may do that. But I will also talk about some of the personal challenges I have had, why that has not materialized, and maybe it will materialize in the future. Yeah, this is, I think, a very important aspect, right? Being close to your family, being close to your parents. Parents are aging, right? We are all aging. Parents are aging. They are at the stage of their lives where they want to have their kids around. I think it makes a huge difference, not only to them but to you also, to have your parents close by, to have your relatives, to have your friends close by. It's not easy when you come here in your mid-20s or sometimes late 20s, early 30s, to do a postdoc. You will realize that people have pretty established and close friend circles. You cannot break in easily, which is understandable, right? On top of that, there are often language challenges. Even in the US, you will face that. Although we Indians speak English and understand English quite well, there are always these inside jokes, Like if you have a joke about cricket, American is not going to understand it. The same way Americans have jokes about their sports, their politics, or whatever. As I said, it's just organic, to be in your country, and we'll talk more about that. And I think I will learn a lot myself about the existing and the upcoming opportunities in India as we move forward, going through different topics, different aspects of life as a scientist in India, in Europe, in the US, around the world. I think we'll be touching upon many of these aspects. So yeah, with that long intro, I will stop, and I look forward to discussing with you the first topic of this podcast.